Yeah, as you can see, today is Monday, July 9th, 8th, and it's right around 10:30 a.m. I actually just tried to quietly use the facilities here at the family compound in Connecticut. The neighbors have been away. The neighbors on this side and the neighbors on that side have been away for the 4th of July weekend, and there has been nobody in the two neighboring condos next to this one. The neighbors on that side were kind of in and out a couple of days ago, but since then, they've been pretty much out. There hasn't been any signs of them coming or going. They usually have dogs that bark a lot, as do the neighbors on this side. The neighbors on this side also have a dog, and that dog barks a lot. And the neighbors on the other side also have sometimes several dogs. I think they board dogs. There haven't been any dogs barking for 2 days now. But over the last few days, as I've mentioned, the same exact pattern of aggressive surveillance based harassment has been going on here in this condo at my family's property in Connecticut, as it has been happening in my unit in Boston since 2013, when Oleg Aleseyev of the Greenville Group rented Unit 78 next to mine to a psychopath, a sex offender, and a very talented cybercriminal, according to the Greenville Group, who also specializes in surveillance, named J.Irrizary. Irrizary appears to be a career criminal, and I've been informed, not just by the Boston police, but by the Greenville Group themselves, that she, quote, has issues with other women and targets them. That means that she stalks them. And because J.Irrizary herself on social media claims to be a structural engineer who is also an IT specialist, all of the intrusive, aggressive harassment and stalking that she engages in is entirely physically possible. In my unit in Boston, as I keep reporting, I am unable to use the facilities in that bathroom without someone who likes to sit in the vacant premises of the bathroom of 78, located behind my toilet, engaging in aggressive, intrusive, deliberately noisy, and agitated behavior directly behind the wall of my toilet whenever I try to use it. This type of aggressive harassment has been going on since 2013, and it would not be possible without the use of surveillance devices that the Greenville Group have actually admitted to using in my unit, that several Boston police detectives have told me they have knowledge of, and that Mr. Oleg Aleseyev of the Greenville Group brags that J.Irrizary is a super talented hacker who, quote, can get into anything, and other staffers have referred to her as their surveillance expert. So if J.Irrizary is a career criminal who's apparently being sponsored by the Greenville Group to engage in harassment and stalking in my unit up in Boston, when she is herself physically located in the vacant premises of her former unit, Unit 78, as I keep recording, it's located directly behind my unit, and the Greenville Group have been deliberately keeping it vacant and empty for 2 years now, even though it has its own bathroom, and probably because it has its own bathroom. That's where J.Irrizary likes to sit. Well, J.Irrizary appears to be a traveling paid psychopath career harasser, and she likes to go wherever I happen to go. So a couple of days after I came down here for the 4th of July weekend and to help my father, who has a severe back injury, over the weekend, 2 days after I got here, the same exact pattern of stalking and intrusive, aggressive harassment that has been happening in my unit in Boston since 2013 also started happening down here. I also reported that 2 months ago when I was out at my mom's in California, the same thing happened out there, because J.Irrizary is apparently a sponsored career harasser, and somebody is paying for her to go to wherever I happen to be and to access neighboring units, as she does in Boston with the vacant premises of Unit 78. And as I mentioned, over the last few days, there has been nobody in this unit and nobody in the unit on the other side of the bathroom here. And that's where there has been a tremendous amount of aggressive harassment that is identical to the harassment that I keep experiencing in my apartment in Boston. So, for example, right now, there's someone on the other side of this wall right here. It is the bathroom of the neighboring unit. Those neighbors have been gone for several days, as I mentioned. They were around a couple days ago, and they haven't been seen or heard since. J.Irrizary is a psychopath who is a career criminal and specializes in picking locks. Ms. J.Irrizary appears to have no problem letting herself into other people's empty units that are as close as they possibly can be to wherever I happen to be. And then she engages in the same exact pattern of aggressive harassment. And just now, while I was trying to use the facilities in this bathroom, someone directly behind this wall started making banging and slamming noises directly behind this toilet. Again, that is the vacant bathroom of the vacant unit, temporarily vacant, located behind this wall. And there's an intense amount of marijuana smoke right now coming from somewhere behind this wall. The neighbors that live in the unit directly behind this wall, again, are on vacation and they don't smoke marijuana. If they did, my dad would be all up in arms about it because he can't stand that smell. It's a very distinct smell. So it happens every time I try to use the facilities in this bathroom, regardless of what I'm doing in here. For instance, yesterday when I was taking a shower, this bathroom was filling with marijuana smoke and you could smell it throughout the top floor of this condo. Neither of the neighbors on either side of this condo smoke marijuana. They're actually responsible professionals who seem to have very busy lives and don't sit around perving and creeping all over what other people do. Are there surveillance devices in this bathroom? Well, apparently there are. How somebody managed to get them in here, I can only speculate. But my dad, being elderly, doesn't always lock his doors, and anybody who has knowledge of his activities or comings and goings would know that he doesn't always lock his doors. And then they can just stick whatever they want into any nook or cranny in this condo. J.Irrizary has been down here in Southern Connecticut before. This happened 6 months ago at Christmas time when I was down here visiting my dad. So this is not the first time that the same exact pattern of stalking, aggressive, intrusive harassment that happens in Boston has also happened down here when I was visiting my dad. 2-3 years ago, this wasn't happening, but it did start happening 6 months ago when I was down here visiting. J.Irrizary likes to smack the wall behind the toilets when I try to use them. It doesn't matter what I'm doing on them. And the marijuana is not related to anything that I happen to be doing on the toilet. It's marijuana. Marijuana smells like marijuana. It doesn't smell like anything else. It's pot, right? So whether you're sitting on the toilet peeing or picking your nose, if you're smelling intense amounts of pot, that's pot. That's not anything that you're doing. It's not you scratching your armpits that smells like pot. It's not you picking your nose that smells like pot. It's not you brushing your teeth that smells like pot. It's somebody smoking pot nearby because they want you to know that they're right there. That's what stalkers do. J.Irrizary is a psychopath, according to the Boston Police Department and according to her handlers at the Greenville group. Psychopaths are not normal. They don't do normal things. They literally kill people. I mean, that's what, serial killers do. All serial killers are psychopaths. They literally stalk their victims and refuse to leave them alone. They try to harm their victims in any way they can. Just because they're not trying to kill you doesn't mean that they're not a psychopath. It simply means that they use other methods to aggressively harass people who they have an issue with. That's been going on for the last week now since I've been down here. Again, it started happening a couple of days after I got down here. So the first couple of days that I was down here, none of this weird craziness was going on. The smacking noises, the constant marijuana fumes, somebody letting themselves into my dad's front door. Obviously the lock was picked. And that's how they get in here. One morning, I saw clear evidence that the front door had been picked. The lock wasn't closed. Pieces of mail and packages have gone missing over the last few days that should have been delivered. They've been stolen or intercepted. There's been somebody smoking marijuana intensely around the premises of this condo at night. It's not the neighbors. Once again, the neighbors are away on vacation. It's the 4th of July weekend. Today's Monday, and they may be coming back today. I don't know. So the neighbors have dogs on both sides. There have been no barking dogs at all over the last couple of days. This means that J.Irrizary, who likes to pick locks and let herself into vacant premises of other people's, unoccupied units, has likely been doing that over the last few days. She's also been using a directed energy device only when I do certain things. And one of those things has been, again, scratching my eczema. So whenever I've scratched my eczema, either in this bathroom or in certain places in my dad's condo, then the directed energy device started happening. And as I reported in the video I made a couple of days ago, only a directed energy device can deliver this type of very unique physical assault. You feel it throughout your entire body. It feels like you're being electrocuted. It is not a panic attack. It is not some kind of hyperventilation because it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're being electrocuted. There's a huge difference between your entire body feeling like it is, being stuck in an electric socket and somebody having a hard time breathing because they're afraid that their car was stolen. That's a panic attack. Directed energy device assault is not a panic attack, you pathetic, idiotic retards who know nothing about anything, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making these pathetically uninformed, ignorant comments on my channel. Anyway, this is just for the record. J.Irrizary is down here in Connecticut. I have an excellent behavioral thumbprint from her for the last 10 years. Every day, it doesn't stop, and this is happening now. So when a psychopath has a unique behavioral thumbprint that suddenly shows up a few days after you happen to travel anywhere, then you have a pretty good reason to suspect that psychopath has knowledge of where you are, especially if they're a hacker. They can hack into your cell phone and find out exactly where you're going and when and with whom, and then they show up a couple days later. This happened in California a few months ago. It's happening down here in Southern Connecticut now. It always starts happening a couple of days after I've arrived at my destination. The first few days are usually fine, and then a few days later, all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose, and J.Irrizary's evident behavioral psychosis becomes extremely obvious a couple of days after I've arrived to wherever I happen to go. So she's obviously a paid career harasser, and the Greenville group is sponsoring her. They even told me she is their surveillance expert. That means that wherever she goes, she can start sticking little tiny surveillance devices the size of basically the tip of a Sharpie. And because she's good at picking locks, she can just let herself into any space that has a lock, which is every single space that you might try to lock up. She can get into. Think about that.